Howdy, folks, and welcome back. The Warning did an interview. It's been out for a while, but I saw it when it first came out. I saw a link to it. I didn't go to it. And then it came up in my recommendations. I'm like, I should check this out, mostly because I recognize Mark Goodman. Wasn't he an MTV VJ back in the day? I think he hosts some shows on Sirius XM, like 80s on 8, which is a channel that I watch, Channel 8, or listen to, sorry, not watch, listen to when I'm on like long road trips and stuff, because I'm a teenager from the 80s, teenager in the 80s, so I love the 80s music. But that's interesting that he would be interviewing The Warning. And I don't know who Alan Light is. I don't recognize the name. Maybe somebody can tell me. But I was just curious to see what they would do. It's a fairly recent interview, from what I can tell. It was published on July 30th, or premiered. I mean, I got to imagine it was recorded sometime just before that. It says they're going to talk about Keep Me Fed, their new album. So, fairly recent. Let's give it a listen. Or watch and listen. Pretty low. Turn that volume up in.
I want to welcome some old friends. Well, they're not really old, but they are longtime friends. We've got Danny, Paul, and Holly. It's The Warning. They are back.
Interesting how the captioning spelled their names, isn't it? Danny spelled it slightly wrong. Pow is Paul. And Ali is Ollie. O-L-Y. That's cool. But he's apparently interviewed them before.
Ladies, it is so great to see you. I guess it's been, Alan, you can help me out. It's been at least 3 years since we've seen you, maybe 4.
Wow.
Back in our straight radio days, you guys came up and played live
at Sirius XM,
Sirius XM,
oh.
And we continue to talk about it.
Were they the hosts on the Sirius XM performances? I've seen those live performances. Before I started reacting, I saw them. Where they did like Choke and some other songs from Error. Okay, cool. That makes sense.
And I couldn't tell you how many years that was.
21, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you look the same. You haven't aged a day. Just beautiful. The new record, we've gotten, 5 singles, I think, in advance of this new record.
Okay, so this is before June 28th.
When people are hearing this, will have been out about a few days. Yes. And in looking at all of the videos, you did great videos for all of them, and listening to the songs, I sense a real growth. Every one of you is crushing on your instruments. I mean, but Paul, I'm dying.
How?
You're like, you're getting to be a little Keith Moon action happening there, doing fills all over the place. And all of you, Ali on the bass, I'm serious. The vocals, everything just sounds so much better.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Is that, you've also been touring all over the place with incredible people, the Foo Fighters, the Sammy Hagar, Lizzie Hale, Taylor Momsen. What is that? Are those things related? Have you taken things away from working with those acts that you've now sort of incorporated into yours?
Well, first of all, thank you.
Yes.
And we are very proud and conscious of the growth that we've had over the past few years and the way that we implemented it into the album. Like, we purposefully pushed ourselves on this album to show that. And of course, with every tour that we've had and with every musician that we've ever played with, you learn something, and obviously you take little things, and it's not on purpose. It's not oh my God, I saw that and now I'm gonna do that. But sometimes you just learn from seeing them play. And we've been touring over the past 2 years and with incredible musicians. So of course I feel like that has influenced us in some way or another.
Does it just feel like it's more experience, it's better, everything ratchets up, or does it feel like there's different? I mean, in a song like Burnout, there's almost this funk thing going on that feels like a different sort of path. Are you aware
kind of funky.
That you're actually growing and expanding what you're doing, or is it just a better version of where you were?
We like to see this album as a space where we let loose a little bit more, We just wanted to write what was happening to it. It's like a little time capsule of our last, I feel like, 2 years in feelings and in experiences, for sure. We pushed ourselves and our sound as well.
And I feel like it's exactly what you said. But I think it's both.
Mhm.
Like we know what we did, and we left open the possibility of like we could go anywhere within our genre. We have so many variations of rock within this same album, and if I can say
They do.
so, like I feel like it's pretty well done within each like subgenre. And
you may say so. You are allowed.
I'm proud of what we did. So I feel like it leaves the space for us, like in the next album and the next single or whatever we write next, we could literally go anywhere.
Because it still sounds like us, even though.
That's a really good point. I don't think that I've heard them talk about the new album a lot. I'm sure all of you have too. Where they talk about the experimentation, the growth, trying new things. But for Pow to say that, that's pretty cool because it's true, right? They've done so much different stuff on this album now, and all the stuff they've done before, you know, from touching into a little bits of heavy metal, very hard rock, ballads, to all of this stuff they're doing now with some pop rock stuff and all sorts of things, that they really can't go anywhere. They've done it all in the rock world, right? They've done it all, so they really can't go anywhere.
Next, we could literally go anywhere.
Because it still sounds like us, even though it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I feel like.
I mean, it still is us.
It is
So
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah. So here we are, all of these years down the road into your career, and you are getting a bit older, and I'm wondering, especially now, especially based on what you guys are saying right now, how much do we get to know each of you from these songs? I mean, there's a couple of songs like Automatic Sun, Give Me Your Psychosomatic Love, Look What You're Doing to Me, The Way You Hurt Me Is Never Enough, This Addiction's Hard to Give Up.
They're going to give them the whole, it's not really about us.
Anybody having love relationship problems around here or what?
Well, more than anything, I feel like love is such a universal thing,
Of course.
and it's something that people can relate to. And honestly, whether like we live life and we share bits of it with our music, but nobody will ever know. It's just like, are we not? We won't know. But
Oh, pal.
you get the music. And
Exactly.
that's what you
I love her answer. It's so different than before. I love Allie's giving a thumbs up too. I love that. Because before their answer would always be, you know, we haven't necessarily lived all these experiences, but you know, we read a lot and we watch the world and around us and we think about things and that's been their answer. I love her answer this time. It's like put her finger in her mouth, you know. You'll never know. I love it.
We won't know. But you get the music. And
Exactly.
that's what you can base things off of. Yeah.
And from
So is that a yes or a no that we get to know you or not? Maybe.
You do get to know us
we know
as
certain
like
things.
Okay.
our hearts.
So from all of those directions, obviously the album title "Keep Me Fed" speaks to, I would imagine, all of these things, creatively, professionally, personally, all of those things. Did you have that as a title and sort of a mission statement? Like, when did that present itself?
You know, actually, not really. The title came to us at the very end of the whole thing. But we were really thinking about what we wanted to say and what all these songs kind of like together. What was like the conclusion or what?
Yeah.
And it's just like this: keep me fed is what we see nowadays. You know, everyone wants to be kept fed in a way of something through social media, through entertainment, through something that takes them out of in every moment they have to live something, you know. And us as well, just like inspiration wise, we feed on life and on different music, different entertainment to create and feed what people are waiting from us in our music. So it's just
They're feeding on all sorts of things for inspiration, and they're taking what they create to feed us with enjoyment, entertainment, inspiration. That's interesting. It's a cool new way for her, Danny, to say that.
What people are waiting from us, you know, our music. So it's just like
a
this
cycle.
It's a cycle.
But Keep Me Fed was a lyric on a song.
Yes.
And that's how it ended up being the title. But making the title for this album was just...
It was
hard.
chaotic. Yeah.
But it fit perfectly.
Yeah. We love it.
As you tour more, you hit last year. You hit Europe for the first time. as you grow as artists, as you grow as people, as you grow as writers, what, if anything, has changed in your relationship to each other? Are you fighting more now, or
That's
less?
interesting.
Neither.
No, real. I'm being serious.
Because people ask him the question about you must fight all the time. That question's been asked 1,000 times. But it's interesting that he asked it as have the changes that they've been going through affected that sort of thing. I'd like to hear their responses because I don't think they've ever been asked a question quite that way before.
No, real. I'm being serious. Look, a certain amount of success changes your life, and it changes the way you regard others,
Well, and
including
just
your
having more and more experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, I feel like what has grown, because they was always there, is just understanding.
Yeah.
For sure, because we do notice more and more that we live through the same things, but we're all different.
Yeah.
And we process it in different ways. And just kind of like leaving that space open to understand each other and hear each other out.
I feel like we're more aware of what everyone could be going through, and we understand each other more, so we give each other the space to deal with it.
That is such a cool answer, and we knew that was true of The Warning, but it's so different from like most bands. Like Mark is saying, most groups, most bands, when they get successful, they get friction between them and things like that. But I love how they're pointing out, and Ali is emphasizing it here, how the success and the growth and the experiences have let them better understand each other. That's cool. And like I said, longtime Warning fans have kind of sensed that, but it's cool to hear them say it. I love it.
To deal with it.
Sure.
And we don't fight more, or we don't fight less. I mean, we're still sisters, but I feel like everything that we go through, it has a lot of potential to keep us make us drift apart.
Right.
They're very big experiences that I don't know how to explain them, but they're very big feelings. But thankfully, we respect each other a lot, not only like as human beings and as like partners in the band, but obviously like as family. And with that respect comes a lot of understanding and just knowing that when we grow together. So when we give ourselves like that space to allow each other to like have that support, I feel like it's what's really keeping us afloat in these like very hectic.
The next logical question, I don't know if Mark's going to ask it, but she talks about the space to, and staying apart to give ourselves room and stuff. The next question a lot of people would ask is anybody going to start like a solo career, do a little branch off, things like that, right? People will ask that kind of stuff. And a lot of people have wondered about that. As these three ladies get older, one of them might want to go do some experimentation. But I get the feeling that, because they've always said no, that they are a group, they are a family, they are a team, they're going to do everything together. I couldn't see Pau going off and being a lead singer for another trio or something, or drumming with a new guitarist and a new bassist and a new singer. If she wanted a bassist and a guitarist, she'd just use her sisters. And same with Ali, or same with Danny, right? They would just. So I don't know, but it's interesting that that's the way most bands would go. Is like, we're growing, we're giving ourselves room to breathe, and that tends to not break people apart, but lead to people wanting to go in different directions sometimes. But I don't think it's going to happen here. I hope not. If somebody looks back in 10 years and it did, I'm going to look like a fool, but
Support, I feel like it's what's really keeping us afloat in these like very hectic times. Yeah.
Do you have to kind of protect your personal life? Do you have to carve out time to make sure that you have like a regular human being kind of life as opposed to a rock star life?
Yeah, we know what this life demands of us, and we know it's important, and we'll always strive for that. But we also are just kind of like not fighting.
No, I mean carve out is a good way to say it, because there is no space for it. Yeah. Like, let's be real, there is no time, no space, and we actively have to ask for it. It's like demand, like, hey, we need one day, just one, please. And we understand, like, the three of us are very conscious that even though, like, we're not gonna lie, we've been doing this non-stop for the past 2 years, like touring and everything.
Yeah.
And we are tired.
Yeah.
Like there's no going around that. We
They've
are
said it.
very tired. But we know that this is the time.
It's the moment.
Opportunities are landing.
The moment.
And we've been preparing for it our whole lives. And we're conscious that we have to make these sacrifices right now. And we still ask for that like 1 day or 2 days. If we're greedy, we ask for a week, and we're lucky if we get it.
Yeah.
But we are conscious that we're very lucky to be living this. So we just want to like really...
And especially expressing that it will help us, you know? It will make us
It'll make us function better.
Exactly.
I love this because it also, one thing I always get worried about with them, especially with Hell You Call a Dream, which I just reacted to before watching this interview, reacted to it again, is the whole concept of that song. You know, it's their dream, but it's hell to be on the road and to be as tired as they talk about. And they've talked about it before in interviews and things. I always wondered, they can't keep that up forever, right? At some point, they gotta slow back down again. And I think that's what they're talking about. That Pao is saying, we know that we can't keep this up forever, but we also know that this is the time we need to do this. We need to push ourselves. We need to be tired, because this is the time you have to work your butts off and be out there in the public eye and be all over the place and be on the world tours so that everybody can appreciate your music and know about your music. And then once they've gotten to that, they've graduated to that next level, then they can do the thing where, you know, a lot of bands do, which is they take a couple months off, then they go record an album, and then they go on tour, and then they come back, take a month off, then record another album and go on tour again. They can do that stuff instead of just tour. And in between tours, like on Keep Me Fed, they've talked about many times how they got that album recorded in between tour stops. You know, a little mini tour here, record a couple songs, and a little mini tour, record a couple songs. They can't keep that up forever, and I think that's what they're talking about. But they want to do it right now. They want to push themselves. They understand that this is tiring as hell. It's a hell, right? It's the hell they call a dream. They understand that, but they also know they have to do it. It's the perfect time to do it.
I think that it will help us, you know. It will make us
It'll make us function better.
Exactly.
Yes,
refreshed and just kind of like ready to take the next, 2-month tour.
Yes.
Kind of following up on that and kind of following up on the first thing that Mark asked. I mean, you have played these shows on these huge stages with Foo Fighters, with Guns N' Roses, with, that level. Not what did you take musically from that, but what just being inside the operation of something at that scale, looking at those kind of careers. What do you what do you learn from being in the orbit of these Hall of Fame
Good
bands?
question. I don't think I've ever heard that one
from
before.
The most.
For sure.
Yeah,
the
and
whole
I don't
crew.
I don't know if you can exactly pinpoint what you learned, but unconsciously, we all learn so much, and not only the three of us, but our whole team, as a whole, our operation. Every time we go on tour with someone, it just gets better because we learn tiny, even if they're small things. We just came back from
schedule.
Japan.
Oh, you're gonna
And,
talk about the straws?
The water bottles.
Pal had something
we
fun.
bought a hole puncher for the
yeah.
water bottles to put straws in. For it's just for the.
I noticed that. I haven't said anything, but I noticed that. I noticed it first, believe it or not, at the whiskey pre-album release party, pre-album release show, whatever it was. It wasn't a party; it was a show. I guess it was a party if you were drinking stuff. But that show, when right before the ladies came out, they set down water bottles with these thick plastic or metal, I don't know, but thick straws punched in them, perfectly punched in them. And during the show, I saw that they just pick it up and they just drink from it and set it back down. And I know from previous live performances that they would have a water bottle and you'd see Ali or somebody reach down, pick up their bottle, unscrew the cap, drink it, screw the cap back on, set it back down, which seemed to be a lot of steps. That's interesting that I noticed that, and she's talking about that, something they learned. And I've seen that in all of their live shows recently as well, on the video recordings of them. So that was cool. I want her to talk more about that.
Bought a hole puncher for the water bottles to put straws in. For it's just
for the lipstick.
It's just tiny little things. That's a really tiny thing.
It all adds up.
Makes everything, but it makes them. And they have the waters on a little a crate, and
So now we bought a crate.
So it's it's just the small things. That's something I just remember because it just happened. But like we all grow so much to like schedules and like to like organizing everything, and we just grow so much as a team, and our whole like operation and our whole shows just like grow so much every time.
We're sponges.
We come back. Yeah,
we really are.
Every time we come back from tour, we learn so much from everything. Even when we're just like headlining and like from different venues and like everyone we
and
meet.
not only us but our whole team.
Like
we
everything,
just kind of like we're ready to learn. I feel
I feel like everyone has a disposition like to grow
and grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to point out, because I'm sensing the volume is really low. I can't control that. I suppose I could. I don't want to do it mid recording. I could crank up my OBS recording levels to make it louder for you folks. But it's low for me too. I can barely hear them too.
What about, there's people who are your age. I mean, you're between 19 and 23 now, I guess, or 20 and 24 or something? 24. Oh my God, ancient. You're moving through those things. You're getting a little bit older. And how has it changed? How has this and your age changed how you relate to your friends? Are your friends looking at you differently? Are they,
I like Mark's approach here. He's asking those questions about how is the success changing you guys? Not just, hey, what's the new album? This sounds great. How'd you get the inspiration for this song? He's like, you guys are taking off. How is it affecting you guys? I love this line of questioning.
Treating you a little better than maybe you were before you were in this internationally successful rock and roll band.
I feel like what's interesting is not that the way that they treat us, because I feel like but in the sense that they're catching up when in like work wise, I feel like
life experiences,
because when we started because when we started this, people were going to parties, they were meeting new people, and we're like,
I was in middle school.
My friends were still in it.
I was in middle school.
And,
I love that.
We couldn't relate to a lot of stuff because like, how can I tell you like when you told me like how the party was, and I was like, well, I was recording, like I don't like, and right now everyone.
It's interesting because I think what Danny's trying to say is they had careers. All of their friends when they were younger, when all of the Warning were teenagers, all of their friends were just going to school and partying. But the Warning had a career. They were recording albums, they were touring, they were like doing live shows, and all their friends are catching up. I think she's going to say that their friends have now got careers, so they can actually talk about career stuff now.
And right now, everyone's working. They can't meet up. They can see each other.
They don't know how to manage the time. They don't know how to manage like their tiredness. Like,
I'm still not there yet. Like my friends are still like not.
Well, yeah, you're
working, but it is like they don't treat us differently. But it's just like at this point, I feel like we just share different life experiences. Because I don't experience what they experience. So like I come back from a trip and they're like, oh, I'm like, how was school? Like, what are you doing? What are like,
how was school?
Like, but like, it's true because like I don't get to experience that. So you're like, no, I have to do this, and I'm like, oh, I just came back from like this, and like it's weird because like I don't find what they do normal, and they don't find what I do normal. So it's just like.
Yeah, it's just
like talking about like our different lives, and and it's like normal for us, I guess.
So we live in a time where on the pop side, it is completely dominated by women. Like it's all female energy. All of the pop charts, the 10 biggest acts in the world that kids would just go to war for, they're all women. On the rock side, it's been sort of building, and we said you played with Hailstorm and you played with Pretty Reckless and some of these bands, but it hasn't ratcheted up to that thing. Do you see any sort of, I won't say comparable growth where you're doing Taylor Swift numbers, but does it feel like there's a momentum again in the way that it's totally won over on the pop side, where there is any shift on the rock side that you can feel out there?
Well, I feel like there is a shift, obviously. I mean,
for sure.
just that we're getting the opportunities that we're getting, and we're getting those spaces
They're part of the
and
shift.
those slots and festivals and those type of things, and that we're filling out these venues. It means that people are looking for that. People want to see that. And also like women, I feel like we want to see ourselves represented in the genres that we like. So there is a shift. Hopefully, like in a few years, you can say the same thing. Like the charts are dominant, like the rock charts are dominated by women. Oh my god! And
I'm excited for festival season because that's usually where you see it the most, when it's only rock festivals. And like we're going to be a part of Aftershock and Lord of
I'm
the
going
Lights
there.
and later in the year, and we're gonna like experience, that next step in the shift probably.
oh yeah,
You know?
and like
We're
as
gonna
we
see
start
women.
going up, like
Mhm.
time slots and festivals and stuff like
Yeah.
that, you start seeing that people like do like that, and like that there is a space for it. So again, like hopefully over the next few years, we just see a like I can say that meteoric,
Meteoric.
like of a meteor. Like,
Meteoric is
rise.
good. You got it.
Thank you.
like a meteor.
Sorry. Yes.
This is like a meteor. I don't know what the process is that the Warning goes through to come up with songs. Who introduces, who fleshes out? Is it different all
It's
the
changed.
time? But what I do see is that there's a lot of people. God, I hate to say this because I sound like an old fuck, but in your generation, there's a lot of kids in your generation who they're experiencing anxiety and depression, and more than ever, that's what they're writing about.
We hear it over and over from everybody that comes on, which is great in that people feel free to do it, but is terrifying in that that's what everybody wants to talk about.
Right. So I look at Sick. Life is nothing more than passing time. Give me violence, kill the silence till it makes me feel sick. Where's that coming from? And who came up with that lyric?
Okay.
I think it was me. But okay.
Where's the power?
I feel
Context.
like music is the perfect place to let all of that out. And I feel like, especially in our generation, we are having like higher anxiety levels, higher depression levels, just like because of the connectivity that we live in.
Yeah.
There's just so much of it everywhere.
Pal raises such a good point. I think I've come to that conclusion too, and I like to point that out to people who talk about, if there's any young people, my kids are millennials, they're not Gen Z. But in our generation, there's so much more stress. And no, there isn't. Life is still life, but the connectivity that Pal's talking about, and being bombarded by social media and texting and all these things where it's like instant. You have to like, oh my God, I have to be there. I have to be present. I can't miss out. Fear of missing out, right? Little FOMO. All of that combines to just and for young women especially, the whole thing about Instagram models and stuff, and thinking, oh, I have to look beautiful like these models and stuff. All of that stuff is new. All of that stuff is a higher concentration than it's ever been. That's what's really triggering it. The life itself is still life. There's no real difference. But I like where Pal's going here.
The connectivity that we live in, there's just so much of it everywhere that you can't help but to fall into it as well. But Sick is actually not a depressing song, which I am very proud about. Yes.
Okay. You'll have to explain that one.
Yes. So Sick is about fearing that you missed out on something. And in this case, this something is that you fear that you missed out on like making mistakes. That you didn't have, like, especially like us, we started working when we were very young. So we didn't go through the normal like years where people mess up and they have the liberty to learn from it. We didn't get that. So Sick is about grieving for that and saying like, you know what? To hell with it. I want to do that. I want to make mistakes. I want to regret things. I just want to go out there and so like give me violence, kill the silence till it makes me sick. Like throw it at me because I want it. I want to experience that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like people at one point in their lives, maybe it's not the same thing as us, but like they feel like, what if I went down that road?
Yeah, exactly.
Like what would have? Yeah.
So
yeah.
One more writing question. You guys do continue to go back and forth between writing and singing in Spanish and in English. What was that? How do you know which way it's going to fall? Is it just a sound? Is it a feel?
They've answered this one
decision
too.
up front. This one we should do this way or that way. How does that choice get made?
Usually,
it's a decision up front.
Yeah,
it's a decision up front. But this time around, the song definitely told us. We had a song in English, and we were like, no,
This
this
should be
song
in
is
Spanish.
screaming
Yeah.
like, make me in Spanish.
Yeah,
Why?
and
The
Why?
sound,
Yeah.
the sound
Why?
of the words
Phonetically.
are different.
Yeah.
phonetically, like
Phonetically.
the
Phonetically.
melody
Yeah.
had enough like syllables for it to make sense in Spanish,
Spanish.
and it sounded kind of choppy in English.
In English.
And you're
Yeah.
like, oh no, this makes more sense in Spanish.
Mhm.
But I don't know how to explain it. Just like, oh, we hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
just kind of,
It
it's
just
there.
makes sense. You just know. And we need, like, we make a point out of including at least one song in Spanish in each album that we make. Well, at least from like since we signed
Error
the
on.
deal.
Yeah.
So we knew that we had to have a song in Spanish, and we didn't have it. And then we found this song that we had written, and we were like, it makes no it feels like it should be in Spanish. So we just grabbed it and we rewrote it, and it worked out perfectly.
Thumbs up from
Gotta
Alex.
ask about the videos. Mark mentioned the videos at the
That's
top.
where I was going.
You've taken big swings on the videos,
Yeah.
and these have been hilarious. You did this whole murder mystery cop chase sabotage video with Que Más Quieres, which seemed to set up a sequel at the end, but then
Yeah.
on Burnout shift over to this very hilarious fake American Idol. You said at the beginning, you're very tired. It's time to cast some new members of the Warning, which looks like it must have been incredibly fun to do this casting call with kids to bring.
They
in.
weren't
So
there though.
but both like what was the choice to lean in hard on the video side?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we finally got budgets. I feel like that's
Yes.
why. Yay! We could actually record something. So I actually directed Que Más Quieres I co-directed it, and I wrote scripted it. I don't know how to say it in English,
the
honestly.
storyline. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And it was very fun to have that type of creative control and what I saw the song as to be visually represented and to have fun. I feel like Que Más Quieres is a song that lyrically it shouldn't be taken literally, too seriously. So I feel like we needed to do the same thing with the video and just make it fun. And it was very fun. And it's so colorful, and I feel like rock nowadays tends to be really sad, in the angsty side. And I feel like in this time we allowed ourselves
Like Queen of the Murder
fun,
Scene, pal?
to have fun with the music that we were writing, and we wanted to express it also visually. And with Burnout, we actually
That is a word that kind of sums up Keep Me Fed. Fun. You can tell the Warning just had fun making this album. Queen of the Murder Scene was, we go back to 21st Century Blood, that was new. That's an interesting exercise. Come up with one word to describe how you perceive each of the Warning's albums. 21st Century Blood, I would probably say new. It's their first album. Queen of the Murder Scene, angst. Maybe. That's the word that Pau used when she talked about that album, and she said, I'm angsty now, in her writing phase. Or story. Angst or story for that one. For Error, message. I think message. They wanted that to be a message album pretty clearly. There's a lot of messages in there about life, about social media, about all sorts of things. But Keep Me Fed, fun. Yeah, so I'd probably go with new, angst, message, fun. What would you guys do? Let me know in the comments. Pick one word to describe your perception of each of the Warning's albums.
this time we allowed ourselves to be fun, to have fun with the music that we were writing, and we wanted to express it also visually. And with Burnout, we actually didn't have the time to record this video, and we were like, how are we gonna do this? We need to have a music video, and we're not
here.
We don't have the actual time. And Rudy and Yvonne came up, they directed that video, and they came up with this idea of having people, casting people. So they did the whole casting. We were actually on a plane when this was going on, and we recorded our scenes separately. But seeing that many people, our fans, having that passion and dressing up as us in so many different ways,
It was so fun to me.
and I felt very perceived. Like some of the impressions
Oh,
like were
that
so
was insane.
spot on.
No,
It was scary.
Because they had to act out like
Mine,
that.
Sure.
I feel like were the scariest, not scary like in a scary way, but like when people actually like grabbed like a bass and
And
like
they
started
moved exactly
moving,
like
and I was like,
No, they did.
like,
It was
I was like,
exactly like you.
they studied that. Like
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like,
That's
that's
yeah.
like up to like the hair flips, the shoulder movements, like everything. And I was like, that's
Wow.
insane. Yeah, it was really fun. to
Fun
watch.
videos.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten to the point yet, I imagine, where as you're putting songs together, as you're writing songs, you're thinking about how you might visualize them, or are you?
Yes, I
You
mean,
know,
I think we work in different ways.
we work in different ways, but Pao works very visually. Like she before even like writing the song, she would have
I have
Like a
I have
vision
vision
board.
boards and mood boards, and I start
Wow.
writing
yeah.
based on what these images feel like to me. What they feel like to me. I feel so deep. Like,
You
ooh.
are.
Yeah.
But
that's like how you see the song.
yeah, that's how I see
Yeah.
the song. So ¿Qué más quieres? That's exactly what happened. I had this mood board, and they sent the masters to us, and I was listening to the whole album while like staring at my mood boards to see if we captured it correctly. And then ¿Qué más? I was like, we need to record this.
No, but she ran up to me and
No,
she's
I
like,
remember
I
this.
have an idea.
No, I remember
And,
this
like,
because like
you're gonna be a bride.
we were recording. Like she had the idea the day before we recorded the music video for
For
Sick.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so we were all so excited, and like Ivan, who was the director for Sick as well, he was like, I can't, like, you can't tell me this right now because like I need to focus on this video first.
And I'm gonna get excited.
And so he was like so anxious the whole time because like Pao wouldn't tell him, but we were all so excited, and it was so excited like from an outside perspective to like see the whole process, to like the first idea, to like every meeting, and then seeing like the actual final product like on the set, and like how everything just like came to life. It was
Yeah,
Oh,
so
very
mood
magical.
boards are very helpful when writing, at least for me.
I don't know. Watching that one, I'm like, they could, if they want to, figure out how to make the move into movies, be the next, Laurel and Hardy thing, get a whole,
And then
comedy mystery thing going. It's there for the taking.
You mentioned that you guys are.
And a lot of people have speculated that in 10 years, Pao might be a movie director or screenwriter. In addition to, still being a part of the Warning. She might branch out in that regard because she seems really into it. She loved, in previous interviews, loved her directing debut. Loved the process quite a bit.
Going, it's there for the taking.
You mentioned that you guys are going to be doing a bunch of festivals. Summertime is the time for festivals. And is there one festival that you go, man, that's like Glastonbury, or is there one?
They've talked about Aftershock. Come on,
That's the
I'm
one
holding
we
out
wanna
hope.
Headline.
Oh.
a headline.
Oh, one they haven't done. Okay.
Oh my god. You went like another step. That's
We got to have goals, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I
of
mean,
course.
I'm just thinking about the ones that we have this year, and that I already feel like, oh my god, we're gonna be part of Vakin, and that's like
That
Yeah.
company is gonna be really,
it's gonna be insane.
really good.
So like, even thinking further.
I want to headline Rock in Rio.
Oh.
We've never done Brazil,
That
but,
was
Uh,
I feel I love that I'm saying headlining when we've actually never stepped a foot in that country. But I would love that. That'd be
That'd be insane. You went like,
Yeah.
I mean,
hey,
goals.
hey,
All the way.
manifesting, even if
Put it
it's
out
in a,
in the universe. Yeah.
exactly.
Great.
Well, so you guys are going to be heading out. You have the tour. As I said, as we speak, the album is out and ready for your consumption. Woof, keep me fed. I think this album will keep you fed. You probably get some food and maybe a car or two out of this album.
Keep them fed. Got
Work
it.
and keep learning. It's we love you guys, and seeing it just keep moving the right direction. It's also great.
Very cool. That was a cool interview. I loved it. Produced by Roger That Media Incorporated. No, very cool. I've always enjoyed Mark Goodman back when he was on MTV, as well as, like I said, hosting some shows on 80s on 8 on Sirius XM. But that was a really cool interview. Different takes on some of the same questions. When I sat down, I'll be honest with you, when I sat down to react to this interview, I was like, is this going to be the same stuff it's always been, for the last couple months, talking about Keep Me Fed, how did you come up with the songs? How did you record? How did you meet your producer? The same questions that everybody asks. Because then it wouldn't be a very interesting reaction. It also wouldn't be a very interesting interview. It'd be like, okay, same answers they've always said. But I like the take. They had a slightly different take on everything. And I like that he turned it and he said, we're not just going to talk about it. We've known you for a while, because they first met them, I guess, and interviewed them when they were Error had come out. And he asked those really great questions like, how has this changed your life? Has it changed the way you deal with your friends, your childhood friends? And I love their response. It makes so much sense. And Ali's saying, that what's normal for us is not normal for them. What's normal for them is not normal for us. And also Pao and Danny saying that their friends had become to the point where they have careers and they're tired because they're working really hard. And so they could finally understand what the girls went through, what the ladies went through when they were younger. But I dug this interview. Good questions. Anyway, come up with your one word to describe how you perceive each of the Warnings albums. I would really appreciate hearing that in the comments. And let me know what you thought about this interview. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.